Welcome back, everyone. This week we're going to be heading over to the workshop because we've got to do a bit of work on my cousin's Ranger, chuck some springs in the back before he heads off on a trip. So while we're over there, we might as well make a mess and some noise there. So we'll take Dylan's last fender over. He's going to strip that and get the paint off of that and the stone tray that's under the front guard. And I've got a little 302 Ford Windsor that we're going to have a look at to see if it's worth freshening up to put in the wagon. Had the thing laying around for years and just never had a chance to strip it and have a look, so we'll get in and have a bit of a play with that and see whether that's a suitable candidate to throw in there, so it finally gets the V8 that we've always wanted, I've always wanted. And yeah, first things first, I'm gonna go get a coffee because it's damn cold and I want some breakfast. And yeah, so hopefully we should have a video out later on this evening, or first thing in the morning. So again, thanks for watching, and stick around. See ya. Okay, so I'm apparently the only one here right at the moment, so while we're waiting we might have a look at this little Windsor. I'll pop the coffee up here. And so this originally came out of a four-wheel drive of all things, a Nissan or something, can't remember. It's been laying around here for, hell, I've owned the store 15 years. I reckon it's probably been laying around here the best part of 12. And I was always gonna go over it and see if it was worth putting into something. So it's got 60 thou over flat tops with no ring ridge in the bores. The cam looks like it had been replaced at one stage by what I can see through there, but we're going to get that all apart and have a look and see. And I'm assuming it came out of a 60s Fairlane or Fairmont of some kind, because when they've remachined it, they've stamped the engine number across the back. I can have a look later on and see if we can work out what it is. It was a JG34LM, so I'm thinking possibly Fairmont, can't be 100% sure, I can't remember. And everything looks okay. It did originally get pulled out and swapped with a 5-litre roller because it was misfiring. And when we stripped it down, the cylinder heads are over on the bench, we'll go through them. There was one of the push rods had jumped out from underneath one of the rockers, and so it was only running on 7. Doesn't really show any reason why, so I don't know whether maybe the valve springs are soft and it floated and they over revved it or something like that. But yeah, we'll have a look, see what the bottom end's like. It did have a Rollmaster double row chain on it and it was tight as a drum, so when we get in there and get the bearing caps off and have a look at the bearing shells, we might be able to find some date codes on there to try and work out when in time it was actually refurbished. I'm hoping 90s, early 2000s, but we'll see. So it's yeah, it looks tidy, and other than the misfire, it was a decent runner, had good oil pressure and everything like that. Like I said, we've got 2 sets of cylinder heads, the ones that came off of it, and also these ones here, if they check out okay, are a set of E7s off of a 92, 93 Fairlane. Okay, E7s don't flow for a pinch of crud, but at the end of the day, they've got unleaded seats in them, and it's not worth converting the original heads to run on unleaded if they need any machining, because you go out and buy some cheap alloys that are going to be easier and cheaper in the long run, which I don't want to spend on this motor. I'm a tight ass, but you never know. So there's a choice of those 2 there. It's not going to be an absolute powerhouse, it's just for a cruiser in the old wagon. Back there, sitting there waiting her turn. And yeah, we're just going to just have a look and see if it's something we can build with junk I've got laying around that I've hoarded over the last few years. So the intake we're going to try and run, I think it's under here. Come on. It's a bit crusty. Again, not an ideal intake, but it's a Edelbrock Talker 289 with the twisted flange. It's a, oh, bad knees. It's a single plane, but early single planes. So I'm going to pop it up here and we'll have a look. Everyone says, oh, they're no good for the street, da 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 da, big high RPM manifolds. These ones aren't. The 289 Talker, I'll pop that up here, was the predecessor to the Edelbrock Talker 2, which was a pile of junk. These do have a really small intake plenum up in the top, small diameter runners and port sizes. So that combined with the early Windsor heads, which were restrictive anyway, or the E7 heads, and a 600, say 600 vac secondary, 650 maybe maximum, make a decent torquey little motor. It'll work good from 2000 RPM through to about 5, which this thing's honestly going to cruise in the 2 to 4 bracket most of the time anyway. So, yeah, I don't know. They look good, they fit well, and they do work. I think they work well for what they are. Out and out horsepower? Nope. Good low down torque for towing and in a 4-wheel drive? Nope. In what's a fairly light car in the XW Wagon, and even though they're all steel, they ain't that heavy. With the right gears in the back, if we decide to change them, not a bad combo. Alright, so I'm going to leave that here, check if anyone's turned up ready to start the day, and yeah, we'll get in and have a look at what this 302 looks like inside, and we'll work out whether it's a goer or not. Cool. Rightio, so as you can see outside, yeah, that burnt up the best part of the day. Got a heap done on the Ranger for my cousin, that's all sorted. And Dylan got a heap done on his panels, and I haven't started my motor yet. So I'll show you what Dylan's done on his, and then we'll turn around and get the motor stripped down and have a look at that. And I'm probably going to call it quits for the Arvo there once we've done that, and take this fender and that front stone guard back home, and I'll run through what the repairs are on that tomorrow. So where the antenna was, that's all flared up from being tightened and pushed around. We're going to cut that out, plate it, smooth it, and shy of that, this fender's got a couple of little dints and nicks, and the tiniest pinhole, if it shows up, just above my fingernail there, so right there. So not really a hell of a lot at all. So even the return in around there, this one is really, really tidy. So it's kind of a shame it's the one that had the antenna in it. If the antenna had been in the one that was munted and squashed in the front, at least it would have been one fender we didn't have to weld or do any repairs on, but meh. And this is his front valance. He's got that all stripped back, and both of those have been given a coat of the rust preventative, was it the metal green? And on the inside of this one, still a little bit tacky. Inside of that one there, he's given it a light hit of like a black primer, just to seal it up, stop it flash rusting again. And I'm pretty sure he did the fender as well. Yep, so that's all been given a light coat, so it just stops it flashing off. Now, obviously going to have to go through and retouch that up after I've done a little bit of welding on it, but that'll hold the flash rust off. So now what we're going to do is roll this out into the open so we can get this thing apart and have a look and see what bearing sizes are in there and whether the crank's savable, blah blah blah. Go from there. Hang on. Okay, so what we're going to do is get the fuel pump cam off, and then we'll take the cam itself out of the motor and have a look and see what condition that's in. We've all the lifter bores look really, really good. The boys cleaned those up through the week, and then what we're going to do is flip it over, get the oil pump, pick up, and the crank out of the bottom, and we'll have a look and see what the rest of it looks like. So for starters, we'll get this off. This was a good running little motor when it was in the car that it was in. It just had a bit of a misfire, which, like I was saying earlier, happened from that push rod jumping out of place, and hopefully it hasn't done any damage as such from there. As far as I can work out, I'm pretty sure it was fairly mild, like possibly a towing cam or a standard replacement issue that the original build had in it. Definitely didn't have any kind of off-idle lope or anything like that, but like I was saying, in a four-wheel drive it actually did drive quite nice. So, and it wasn't anything over the top. So now we've got that. So they're all away in the box. Let me see, we've got a screwdriver. And we should be able to just hold that. Oh, what are you doing? Come on. See if we can get in here and looking forward a little. What am I missing? There's nothing there to hold that in. Okay, so change of plans. We're going to roll the motor over and have a look underneath, just in case while the thing's being stored, just make sure no one's planning dropped anything into the motor, because that camshaft does not want to come out, and there's no oil pump drive, no distributor drive, there's nothing in there, there's no lifters. It should just come straight out. So yeah, I can't honestly tell you why that would be doing that. Let's see if I can get a torch. When I was sliding it back and forth, it did sound like something was catching somewhere. But there shouldn't be anything to catch. Nope. So, yeah, I can't honestly say what's going on there. So what we'll do is get the oil pump out of the way. What have we got there? Should be able to put that off. The oil that was in this thing does look like whoever had it didn't really treat it to many surfaces. The bores look good and everything like that, and I have popped one bearing cap off and it looked good as well, and not a lot of wear on the bearings or the crank or anything like that, but yeah, the oil looks disgusting. So I've got a feeling it's a fairly low K rebuild. That just was never looked after when it was put in. So, get this. Okay, so we'll pop this up here. That's had, okay, well it's had an aftermarket oil pump put on it. It's not factory, so yeah, okay. All right, where's the next thing? We'll rotate this over and start cracking some now with the caps. What's that one going? Yep, that one's labelled 4. And they label this one. Trying to see whether they've labelled anything before I pull it apart. That one's definitely labelled. Three. Yeah, okay, so that one's labelled 1. Always not really good, but yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm assuming the other ones are labelled. We'll confirm that when we roll it over. But for starters, we'll only take the ones that we know are numbered off. So that one there, still got a lot of bearing material on it. It's not got any weird wear patterns, and it's telling us it's a... Okay, so the crank's been around 10 thou under on the big ends. And it's got a build date on that bearing shell of 92. So hopefully the rest of the motor has all been gone through and it's in half decent nick. Slide the piston down and out. Grab the handle of the hammer. Give it a little tap. And we'll pop the cap back so they stay together. And now they go with the numbered halves back together. Or the other thing is you've got the little locating notch in your bearing. They match up to the locating notch on the top cap, and you drop the nuts. So the bearings do have wear, but they're just starting to get through the white metal to the brassy coppery coloured underlay. No real scoring on the piston skirts. It's a bonus. No broken rings. And the little end bushes are all free and not sloppy. And it's had a 60th hour over piston put on it. Alright, I'm going to run through the rest of this and pop them out, and then we'll get the camera in and show you as close to what we found. Okay, so I'm tired, I'm sore, my arthritis is playing up. Is that enough excuses? I dropped a piston. Yay, idiot. Oh well. Yeah, it just got away from me, and a bit more carbon build-up on number, what was it, 7? Number 7 had a bit more carbon build-up on the rings, and it was just not wanting to come. And then it did come, and straight through my hands and straight onto the floor. So that one's going to have to be washed up, cleaned up. We'll buff it all, have a look, make sure there's no cracks or damage on it. But other than that, if you look at them, every single one of the pistons, every single one of the rods has been numbered, except for number 8. Number 8's got no markings on it, but kind of makes sense. You've got 1 through 7, it can only go on one spot. Now, the caps, grab one of these off. The reason you want to keep them in order with the piston or the rod they came on is because they're honed to size or machined to size when they're assembled. So if you put them on the wrong rods, they're not going to match up. Likewise, if you take the cap and turn it 180 and put it back on, it's not going to be right, and it's going to bind up and pick up bearings. So make sure they're numbered before you pull them apart. If not, mark them. Whether that's with a scratch, center punch, lightly, you don't want to distort it, or a number and letter set. And then when they go back together, they've all got little tangs in there that locate the bearing to stop the bearing race from slipping, which, oh man, Murphy's Law, I picked the one that's not going to come out. So when you look at the cap, you can see in that top corner there, it's actually got a little stepped machined notch in it. And when you look at the rod, turns around, there's one that matches and coincides with it in the rod. So you go notch to notch. That way you know the caps are the right way around, and then when they're on the numbered side, they're numbered cap to numbered rod. And the last thing you want to make sure of, oh, I can't see nothing, there we go. And I didn't bring my glasses today, so I'm really blind. Last thing you want to also keep a check on is the pistons have either got a pop mark or these ones have got a little notch cut in the front of them. And that points to the front of the motor. So that means all of our rods, pistons, caps are going to go back on, and the motor turned over quite free and had good clearances. Yeah, the bearings are worn, they've done a few Ks, probably more than I initially thought, but no damage to the skirts or the pistons other than probably the one I've dropped. But we'll see. All the rings were good. All the rings have got really good flame and ring gap, and no wear in the, what do you call it, the ring lands. So I've still got to clean them up and then put a feeler gauge in there, but down in here where the rings run, the groove, you want to make sure there's no excessive clearance, and that'll tell us whether we're going to be able to reuse the pistons or not. That, and whether I damaged that one when I dropped it. But yeah, so that, the skirts are good. They should clean up okay. That one that did have a few little kisses from the valve, yes, you should put a new piston in there. Yes, I should go through and change it. I'm not gonna. It may make a hot spot where those few little kiss marks are from where the valves tapped it. I'll probably just linish it a little bit and smooth it off so there's no sharp edges. But this motor is not gonna run big compression. It'll run great on 91 octane fuel, 87 octane. It's just gonna be a cruiser. Like I said, the heads that are gonna go on it are probably gonna be the E7 heads, later model, better valve stem seals. They suit unleaded, so I don't have to try and do any conversion, not waste any more money. They've got a lot less Ks on it. The guides on those heads look good. They flow like rubbish, like any of the early Windsor heads do, but for a wagon cruiser, again with that little small run apart Edelbrock manifold, perfect. So for what this car's going to do, fine. Now the block, knees aren't working. Over here on the block, we can see all of our journals. That one there is the only one that I've been able to find anything that scores enough to say that it picks up my fingernail, and it's only just. And that's number 6, so piston number 6. Looks like something went through there and just scored that journal a little bit. So if we go to rod number 6, just down here. The actual bearing itself looks okay. It does have a little score mark in it, nothing massive. So again, I will probably just polish and clean that up with a bit of emery tape and go through and clean it up that way. So next thing, I'm gonna crack all the, or I have cracked all the bolts for the main caps. So now I'm gonna wind them out, grab them and pull them off. Good thing with the main caps, these ones, the factory cast them with the direction they point to the front and the number. So 1, 2, 3, so on. So they're all good to go. We don't have to mark them. So I'm going to pop these up here. We'll get them off and we'll have a look at the rest of the crank and see if it's savable. So these, normally you can just back the bolts out. Watch it make a liar of me. So now you normally just pick the bolts up. So they're out of the cap. Hold them together and give it a wiggle and they come right out. We'll have a quick look at the bearing. It's worn, but no untoward wear on it. Oh, excuse me. And the journal is good. So one is good. Hopefully it's just that one big end journal that needs a little bit of a clean. Two. A little bit more wear right on the edge where it was starting to show a little bit of the copper. Journal looks okay, and nothing that you can see that catches your thumb or catches your fingernail. So for a low compression, low revving motor for a daily driver or a cruiser, this so far looks like it's going to be absolutely fine to reuse. Fresh bearings, fresh rings, a good wash and clean, and we should be good. Now this is our, on the Windsors, number 3, this is our thrust control one. So the bearing itself's got side thrust faces, and the end float in the crank was good. I had a quick feel of that before we pulled them off. Those faces are okay. Bearing's okay. And crank journal is good, and so are the faces of the thrust faces. So that's winning on that one too. Getting clumsy. Are you for real? Don't get old, folks. Your hands don't work for jack. Bearing is good. At a quick glance, our crank journal is good. Now the last one that has our rear main seal support on it as well. This one may be glued in place a little bit tighter because they normally have a bit of sealant up there. There we go. Nothing savage on the wear on the bearing. The journal will clean up okay. And this one's got one of the original style 2-piece rear main seals. Although instead of ropes, this one is a neoprene one. And as you can see, there we go. It's staggered. You want to clock it. You don't want the rear main seal to be flush with the tips. If you do, it's definitely going to leak through there no matter what you do. So they've rolled it so this one goes down into the block and the other one comes out of the block up into the cap. And yeah, you stagger your join so it's away from there. And then I normally use a little bit of Loctite on the face or Permatex on the face. So that's sealed up, and a little dab of RTV when you put the corner seals in. So all in all, that looks really good. So I'm going to lift this out and sit it on the tray. Alright, so now we can have a look and see why this cam won't slide out of the damn tunnel. Could just be carbon buildup that's catching on. So what if I turn it around a bit? So the lobe is pointing up. Come on, what's your problem? Go back that way a bit. Really? The cam does have a lot more wear on it than I thought it would. So maybe it's just clear. Come on. There we go. It's not what we want. Didn't want to drop it and hit any of the bearing joints, but now see if I can get my hands in here and support it. Okay. Alrighty, I'll turn the camera off. We'll get a torch and have a look inside here and then get you guys in and show you what's going on inside of it. Right, so we've got the block pretty much stripped apart of all the main spinning internals. Now, on the bottom side of the Windsor blocks, down here, there is, help if I have it the right way around, wouldn't it? Down here we've got the code C90E-6015-C. So C90E, it's a 1969 casting block. 6015C, that's the part number for an engine block. And it's an Australian one because when you look at the VIN number that was stamped into it, it came out of a Ford with JG34 on it for the VIN number. So if we go around here, when it was machined, the machine shop stamped up here JG34LM. So that's a Falcon Fairmont block. Not a GT, so it's not a JG33, but it's obviously a 302, not a 351, but it's a 1969 Falcon / Fairmont engine block. So 60 thou over, 1010 on the crank, and all in all not in bad nick. So when we get down and have a look at the bores with a torch, where are we? Is this going to show up or is it going to be glary? They're a little bit marked up from sitting in the workshop all these years, open, but there's no surface rust. No big gouges that I can see anywhere, and all in all, there's no ring ridge. What's this on this one? So number 2 looks like it may have had a little bit of water sitting in the top of it. Is this going to show up? See if I can hold the torch there. So down there, there's a pit there. Everything else is staining. No real pits or anything, so I'll have to get a I'll have to find the hone. I've got one of those at home. I'll bring it into work through the week and we'll run a light hone through it to see whether it's no-go. It's not in the area swept by the piston ring, which is a good thing. It's down below the ring land, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes after it hones up, but it is below the deck height of where ringland number 1 runs. It'll be close to it, but it is higher up than where that ring comes to. So we'll wash the block out, clean it out, and we'll run a hone through it, and that'll be our final call. Everything else I like the look of. Everything else looks like it'll come up good. Even the cam bearings, the cam is toast. Where are we? It looks like it was the original cam that was thrown back in there. There is no markings I can see anywhere, and it is just, it's gummed up. It's got bad wear marks on it. It's junk, but the cam journals and the bearings are good. So all the way down through, the cam bearings actually look really good. So I really don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to call that a night. I've got to get home and unpack the car and get all the Dylan stuff back in the shed, and tomorrow we'll get into that and welding up the hole where the antenna was and everything. And there's a couple of little pinholes in the bottom of that fender, but they'll just get welded up. Don't need patches for them. And probably start working on getting the 2 front fenders into epoxy, so they're ready to start blocking back the next weekend he has free. So I'm going to call it quits for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning when we get back in the shed on the fenders. But I don't know. To me, I'd run that block. It's not going to be big horsepower. It's just going to be a nice cruiser, and it's in better condition than the motor that's in the car. So fresh rings, fresh bearings, and a gasket set, and a tidy up set of the late model heads. And yeah, I think it'll go. All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the morning. Bye for now. Okay, welcome back. So today is Sunday, and as you can see outside, ain't morning. Spent the entire day sitting around trying to work out why the GoPro wouldn't download any of the footage from yesterday. So yeah, that's all downloaded now, so we've got most of it, but there's probably about a quarter of an hour of footage that it just wouldn't transfer. So God knows what went on there, but is what it is. So we're going to get a little bit done. We've unpacked the car with all of Dylan's gear and stuff. Now the fender that he stripped, like I was saying yesterday, is pretty solid. Like there's, as far as impact and bends go, it's nice. Yes, there's a few bits and pieces that I will probably clean up a little bit more than what he's got. There is the pieces on the underside of the structure there that need to be patched up, and a couple of little pinholes up here where it had badges sitting, or not badges, sorry, the stainless trim, body trim. Where the antenna was pulled through, that has been welded and cracked, and it's got corrosion, and it's just not real pretty in that spot. So we're going to take a square out and replace a whole section. And when you look at it, it's actually, what are we going to see? It's actually pulled up hard, like it really pulls up out of the sheet metal. So I just masked off a small little area that we can remove and make a fairly easy patch for. I'm going to get that sorted now, so I've got something done for the day, and then we'll go see if this footage downloads any better and try and put something together so we haven't got a lost weekend as far as recording goes. So, okay, get that out. So the surrounding areas on this one were, as far as rust goes, really good. So once we get a patch cut that's going to fit in there, that should weld up nice. See if I've got, thought I had a file over here somewhere. Nope. Okay, I'm going to go grab a file and we'll trim that up. Okay, so we're just going to take some of the burrs off. cut back far enough that there was no like waves in it from the damage of the antenna pulling through. But this front face, just there, dips in a bit. It doesn't follow the same crown as that. So, if I can get in here, that way. Doesn't need a lot. And when I held this piece I cut out onto the metal I've got to replace, alright, I'm going to take some of that crown out. So yeah, the patch just needs to have some crown taken out of it. No, that didn't work. Okay, let's see if I can. Dropping stuff again. That face is good. That face is good. That one there, okay. That's got a bit of a whoop in it. So doesn't need lots, just enough to get it to sit flush. Okay, so that's got to come up there. Like that. Okay. Turn that around. Nope, don't want to sit that way. A little bit more. Okay, that's going to be good enough. We'll grab a marker. And we'll cut this one out. Getting a bit late, so we won't use the cut-off wheel again. Try not to tick anyone off. Yeah. Alrighty. Now. What did I do there? My bad. I used the piece I cut out as the template, so it's going to be undersized because of the thickness of the saw blade, cut-off wheel blade. So what I should have done was made it so this piece lays on the fender properly. Like that. See if it touches all the way around. And from underneath that does touch all the way around with no air gap. So what I should have done is what I just did then, because what that does is then leaves us, if we cut to the line and leave the line, a panel that's going to actually be the same size as the hole, and not what I just did, which meant I had a patch that you could probably weld in there with a massive air gap all the way around, and it would have fitted like absolute rubbish. Not to say this is going to fit much better, but let's give it a shot. Okay. That has bent up a little bit from using the snips, but will go a lot closer to fitting than the first one once I do a couple of little adjustments. off the end. Front's going to clear, the rear will clear with a little bit of a final tweak on the back there, and then it's just a case of getting it into a bit of a shape. Cool. Alright, I'll just find my flat dolly. Take some of the curve out of it that was put in there by using the shears. Oops. And my fingers don't work this weekend. Okay, I'll take that on from underneath. Arrow goes that way. What did I do? No. Not quite. And that bent up again. Okay. too much in the middle, so I'll take some of that curve out. Don't want to use the shear on it again, so it's flat. I'll just take a bit of the burr off it. There we go. Okay, so I'll show you what we've done there. So the piece that came out was, where are we here? That piece there. So pulled out of whack, fairly twisted, fairly munted, and has been welded, and it's got cracks and it's just all over the shop. So as much as it looked fairly smooth, that crown is a bit wavy through there and around. That patch, no, it's not shaped perfectly, but what we've got is good enough that we can give it a tack in the two back corners where it's flush, pry up on that a little bit there so it's flush, and tack that, and then we'll just work along both sides, have it all fitting, and then we can hammer and dolly and dress that up after it's been tacked on every corner and the center of every side. And once we've got it fitting nice and smooth, then we'll run through and finish weld it and sand it. And yeah, so that's what I'm going to be tackling through the week or early next weekend. I'm going to call it for tonight and see if this download works. Sorry about the footage that we lost, but yeah, thanks for tuning in and see you next time. Bye.